everyone. Today is a special episode, something we have not done before. Would you like to introduce the episode, Carrie?
Sure. Like we said, if you've gotten used to our prior ways of doing our podcast, this one's a little bit different. In fact, it's kind of like a little series because we've got a lot of information to share on this particular topic this time, and we split it up a little bit. So at first, it's going to be a little different because our first part of this, you're going to see how we process some of and get some of our information. So oftentimes Sophia and I both can channel. This particular time I did some channeling and we're going to share the channeling first. So in case you're wondering what you're hearing is and not seeing much of anything, it's just us channeling. It's audio part. I'm channeling, she's facilitating, and
Mm-hmm.
today's topic is
Extraterrestrials, because it's fun. So enjoy the channeling. It is fun. Leave in the comments whatever it is that you wish, whatever your view on ETs is. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you in part two when Carrie and I will be just discussing ETs without the channeling at this point. But
all right.
still fun.
See you
See
on the
you
other
later.
side. Bye.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask about some information that will be relevant at this moment for the humanity, or for the humans regarding the ETs.
Yes. They want to show me more, so they're kind of connecting me a little deeper or further. Further. First, I had a sense they were kind of showing me all different races, species.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, let's go a little deeper so she can sense it better.
Your sound is getting very interesting because now there's an echo.
Interesting.
Yeah. So all the races that they're showing you, are they currently around us? And it is 11:11.
Yes. Yes. All and every who are focused here are here.
Okay. What is the reason of why they're so focused here right now?
An interesting experiment to witness in its moments of milestones. Enjoyment
Okay.
of viewing the expansive expressions within limits. There are limits created, but now there are cracks in the limits, which is where it was meant to be. But then through time, humans have created more crust around the limits or veil.
Mm-hmm.
More is being limited by choice through time, and with that creates more of this crust, which is an analogy to how humans have separated themselves from its own awareness and abilities. We all have created expressions in different, we'll say, places for different expressions with various levels of veil, of disconnect. Earth being the heaviest of most, many, all, doesn't really matter. At different points it's more heavy than others, at other points it is not. But the heaviness, the forgetfulness, the distraction from itself, it creates more of a veil that in reality is all just a illusion. And in this space and time, humans are starting to clean off or break off through the cracks in the veil, and with helps from volunteers who do not express solely as human, has allowed this beautiful space of transition that is occurring on Earth at this time, in this dimension, in this direction.
So you mentioned that crust. Is there a way that we as humans can eliminate or go beyond that?
There's always potential and possibility, but with humans as they are, it is more challenge for their mindset to collectively change in unity in that way. It takes human time and flow and process to do so. But in actuality, it is happening and has happened and will happen all at once. It's meant to be happened in some way, in some form, in some fashion. And it is happening. In human time, it might seem it will take hundreds of more years to really elicit a bigger cleanse of crust. You want to say it that way? Or dissolving of the crust?
So you mean full dissolving of the crust?
It's an analogy, anyhow, but yes, the crust is not a real crust.
Yes, we understand. I understand that it's more of a way of thinking. Is that right? Is it part of how we think?
Right. We see that humans have created upon themselves more limitation than they necessarily need to have when they come into the experience as a human. And through time and through generations and iterations, it has created more limitations than they realize, more disconnect, more distancing of connections to our perspective.
Okay. So, what is it that we need to know about it right now as a humanity at this moment in the now?
There's no need to rush the process, but not to ignore the process either. This space and time and moment, we prefer the word moment, is a opportunity to expand, release, heal, grow. If you're focusing on any of those aspects in your personal expression, your crust will then naturally, and you'll start to see more of where those cracks are and look through them. And once you have done so, then it will expand and only expand from there. But you have already, by many who channel and connect and intuit, that the main way to work on what you need to work on is internal space first. Work internally, question and be curious about what is happening internally, the parts we can't see visibly, the parts we can't feel visibly. Bring it up to a place where you can see it physically, where you can feel it physically, And then from there, you can heal it on all levels, physically or not. Once you start expanding your perception and growth with these opportunities, you will expand naturally to release the distancing and the thickness of what you might have considered limitations. And once you release those limitations, whether it's cultural or personal, intimate or otherwise, you start seeing miracles. So people would call miracles would happen in your life. They're not miracles at all. For miracles, you define it as a rare instance that is supernatural in affairs, and we would say that it is not rare, it is commonplace,
Mm-hmm.
but
So you,
people forget.
so just to reiterate, your advice would be for the humans at this moment in time to focus on the inner world and heal
In
it.
a
Is that
word,
correct?
yes, heal and grow. Not all things need healing. Some things just need to be expressed and seen and learned from to allow expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's healing, sometimes it's not. Uh,
Okay.
but what we would say is that does not mean you don't. It does not mean you hide from the world as it is, for it is also part in play to help you expand and learn and grow. And if you have advanced on a level, you can share that expansion with others
Mm-hmm.
by just being. You don't have to teach it, you don't have to verbalize it. You could if you choose to, if that's in alignment with you. But if you choose to just show people that you have expanded just by being, whether it's energetic, just sitting calmly next to someone who's, someone would say is a raving lunatic, but you are in control of your facilities and your emotional education and your cognitive education, your mental cognitive education, that once you've learned through some hurdles yourself, you will already know. And being around those individuals who were once a mirror of your own past potential, you will see you are different. They are exemplifying how you have grown. And likewise, if you see those who are calm in the face of adversity, but you are in the midst of it and you don't know how to be that, that's something to look forward to and try to get towards in a
Mm-hmm.
growth expansion kind of way. It could be a goal to reach. Like, how did that? Again, it goes to curiosity. Now you're not curious just about yourself, but you're curious about those who have mastered it on a level beyond where you have mastered. Not that they are masters in all the levels that can be mastered, but they are a step in advance, that they've learned a few things that might illuminate what could be for you in your path. So don't hide yourself in any way. Look at your own path, grow from it, expand from it, with it, and share it. And if the sharing brings you to more growth, that is even more beautiful. So it's just a continued process. It will be, if you allow it to be lifelong, it will be ever so much more growth and expansive for yourself. And you'll bring yourself as a soul and as a conscious mind closer to that space that you would
Let
want to be.
Let me ask you a slightly different question. There has been talk about um, you, ETs, having a direct contact with humans
Yes.
um, in the near future, like within the next couple of years. I just wanted to see if that's still on track.
Well, first off, it's been on track. It's been happening for as human were first developed. it has never just ceased. It have never stopped.
We
It's just
understand that there's always contact, but what I guess I mean is kind of turning on the TV and seeing it in the news and it being more or less acceptable by everyone.
that is also have been happening in this moment. You have already seen it on TV, and but yes, there is a conversation of disclosure that is meant for many to see and allow us to expand. Again, it's like the analogy we just spoke of. Those who are ready, they will be able to see that sage, calm person in the midst of chaos. And in your light, you will see us as that individual being calm in the midst of chaos to
Hmm.
expand and look forward to being more of. We will not disclose ourselves to everyone because not everyone will be ready. No matter if, even if we go on the news that is all over the world, a worldly news, we could be on there, and those who are not in that ready mode, they will not see us, even if it is there, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
it does make sense. So they won't be able to.
They
Is that
won't
because
comprehend. They won't
they?
comprehend what they see. They will dismiss what they see. They will miss those opportunities to see on purpose because they are not in that space to be accepting, receiving, and in that level of understanding to help have that experience help them. There's
Hmm.
no need for us to express ourselves to those who are not ready to be helped. Just like you humans, when you try to control matters by helping someone who needs help and they're not ready for it, they're not asking for it, they're not seeking it, they're in their situation. No matter how hard you help, you may actually inadvertently harm this, the growth process.
Mm-hmm.
So we, on our perception, we do not aim to harm. There's no need for it, and there's no need for control or push. Those who are ready will be ready. Those who are not will not. And those who are ready and have adverse negative triggers, that is part of their growth process. They're ready to an extent, but they need healing or growth to expand in a proper timing and way for that individual.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we disclose ourselves visibly to someone who, on a conscious level, was not ready, but we know the soul really wants this in this time, in this space, it will happen. And then the conscious mind and the soul will need to work together to find a common ground and grow from it in a different way. Because the soul will also grow from witnessing and interacting with the conscious mind and mental states of how it processes. So, inadvertently, through time, it might not be ideally human time, it might take some extra time in a human sense, but it still will balance out in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be in alignment for that individual's progress in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, that is rare. For the most part, we will not present ourselves until both soul and conscious mind is at a certain point, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. So could you tell me also the souls that are now on Earth, um, have all of us been some sort of ET at one point? Or are there still souls that are strictly earthbound? Not earthbound in the sense that they can't leave Earth, but meaning been only on Earth
Do you mean this moment, or
at this moment. Yeah.
there are souls also coming straight from source that have not experienced other experiences before? Yes.
Okay, so there are those. Okay.
Yes.
But for the most part, are there still souls that have never been anywhere else but Earth that are on Earth right now having the
Many.
experience?
There are
Yes,
many. Yes.
there are many still. Okay. So it's not a requirement sort of to be somewhere else and then come to Earth.
No, there is no such requirement. And just that there's no such requirement that those souls exclusively stay on Earth and not go elsewhere. They can choose. All is free will once created. But in that creation, there might be an alignment to in that is for another topic at another time about soul creation. We
Okay,
may revisit. But
that
on
is
this
okay.
planet, currently, there are many who are purely from only Earth, as well as those who are from elsewhere or on other interdimensional planetary levels, we'll say. But then there's also another level of what people align as calling the angelic realm. There are souls from there. The more the difference is that they may or may not also traverse other races as experiences, but they were sourced from a space where they help create and manage the energies of all the souls. That is more like they are the mm, babysitters of the souls. That's more of where they're aligned, if you want to align it to something. So
When you
there
say
are,
babysitters of the soul, do you mean like to say that they help out?
yes, they help and they nurture, uh, but not always nurture in what we see as what we consider in a human perspective as nurture. But yes, it is all nurture and all unconditional love expression. You can
Mhm.
definitely say that there is investment in their soul to ensure that we all thrive as best as we can in whatever way we can. So
Okay.
some souls come from that space also to be more hands-on
Mhm.
in the experience of helping in a different way, but also they have the ability to do what everyone else does. Why not? So they get to also experience how to balance out with a physical body and a conscious mind and ego and emotions and all that. It's an ability for any soul to tackle if that's what they want to experience.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there an easy way for a person to figure out for themselves whether they are from a different ET species, or meaning that is there an easier way that you can give us to figure out whether the person has been to Earth a lot or not? Is there any signs of that that person would be able to see within themselves?
There will be resonance once they get to be more surrounded by energies of that likeness. They may recognize on a subtle level that there's resonance. Like if it's on an energetic level, of course, and yes, there is a sense. It's almost like, but not the same because in this human way, you see it visually and whatnot. But say you notice the different races on this planet, and say you are a specific race here. In this example, we'll say Russian for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're Russian, you go and move to America. Now there's many different races and cultures surrounding you. But those who you recognize as Russian, they will stand out to you
Mm-hmm.
in some level, as in how they respond to things. Some of it is cultural, much of it is cultural, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And you might even sense it on a DNA level. You just recognize there's something that connects you on a soul level. It's very similar. You have this recognition, and the recognition of how the others may perceive and do things is very similar to the way you see and do things. So on some levels you can, but it is far from obvious at times. It could be very, very subtle. And
So,
whether or not is it important, it is important for the individual who is expressing in that moment. If they need that alignment for whatever they need in the moment to progress, there's no value in expressing, hey, I'm from Russia and I'm just trying to be a chef in America with a specialty in Asian food. There's no need to recognize, hey, I'm Russian, in that space. So when you're learning lessons on a soul level here, sometimes it's valuable to know, hey, I'm from Russia. Hey, I have this tendency to have this habit that they do, the way that they culturally connect with each other, say around food, their expression that is something very much aligned to how you express and you want to continue to express and want to align with. You can say, hey, I'm very much like that too, and I feel camaraderie and a feeling
so
of
what you're
connection.
saying is that that's how you would feel with other species, even though you're here, you will feel it on that level.
You will only feel it, and yes, you will feel it in such a way. You only feel it because in that moment you feel you need that alignment. There's no need to be aligned to your past legacy or future legacy unless it's useful in the now. Again, it goes to the space of the now. What is useful for you in the now? It doesn't matter what race or space or planet you're from in the moment if what you're doing has nothing to do with those cultural or genetic alignments. There's no need. So it really depends on the individual and what they're expressing in the moment. What are they learning? What are they trying to dig up to heal? If there are things that has resonance to those legacies, then yes, some will feel very strongly, I'm definitely Orion. They'll know it. They'll feel it. They'll see everywhere. Now they'll know a ton of people that are Orion. It's just how they need to be in that moment to express it. And it could be just as strong for all that to come in, and it's just as strong for all that to subside when it is all said and done. It's all about the now moment and what the soul and conscious mind needs for its progress, whether it's growth and expansion or healing or manifesting. They can
So,
choose.
so there's a lot of people that would say that they've never felt like they belonged here.
That is the space for them to heal. If they feel misalignment for being where they are, where they've chosen to be, they will recognize it as being forced to be here. They will recognize it as I didn't choose to be. I didn't want to come here. I've been volunteered. And I wasn't. It wasn't my choice. That is that is not correct. They have all agreed to it, and they all agreed that that is an expression to learn from, an expression to grow from in what they're living right now. This is the best place for them in this moment. in this time, in any space in the perceivable universe. This is where they are at. This is where they need to be. Why is it a disconnect? Why does it feel like they don't belong? Why do they feel like they need to be linked to something or somewhere else? It is a personal connection that they need to work on. It's less about the connection, because once you really know, you know there's no separation. Once you know, there's no barriers between various races or spaces in the universe. There's no disconnect. Everything is reachable in the moment, in the instant. There's no separation really. Once you really get to that point, but if you feel disconnect and discomfort, you're not in that space yet. And you're wanting to. We're all wanting to. We all want to expand and grow until we realize that we need to let go to do so. And a lot of these, the individual needs to introspect more, seek within themselves more. What are they feeling need? External need. If there's any external need, you need to rectify it and know that you have it within. You don't need it externally. You can find it within. And that's really a hard space and hard lesson most don't fully understand. Logically, it makes sense. Yeah, of course. I gotta find my love within myself before I can love anyone else. But living it and expressing it is not easy. And we are very proud of those who tackle this lesson, because it's not easy to do.
Well, I think also for those who feel like they're not from around here, it's because they didn't feel understood
Yes,
as children because they were different. And I think a lot of the
for
times
sure.
that's why
Sometimes
we as humans, believing that you're from somewhere else is more
comforting.
comforting.
Yes, yes. You feel alignment there somewhere because you want to feel alignment. You're part of something bigger than
Hmm.
yourself. But until they recognize that they are already part of something way more bigger than themselves, they're not gonna feel good. They need
Hmm.
to get there themselves. They need to see it for themselves and see it within, because the human experience, we get so much variety and so much in your face opposite frequencies that we get jolted, and we don't recognize it as an opportunity to balance it out. We just see it as it's opposing space and opposing energy, and we just don't feel comfortable. The more we don't feel comfortable, we want to run away from it, because that's also, remember, we're human. We're part of that ego experience. The ego doesn't want to be in a space that it can't control its own narrative, and it doesn't want to be in a space where it just doesn't feel safe. And that's
Hmm.
natural, and it's beautiful in its own design, but at the same time it's very almost primitive, we would say, to express, to the instant you recognize there's ego aspect, that's an opportunity to, like, how do I challenge the ego to feel safer then within my own powers, my own sovereign ability to be whole and be everything that I need in my space. The
So,
conscious mind needs, the ego and conscious mind needs to get to that space where they feel like, hey, that's right, I am in control of my expression, my responses, my ability to be. No one can control that. And there's no one, anyone else can get in the way, if unless we let them. And the ego actually inadvertently lets them.
yes, usually yes. So let me sum it up because I know this was supposed to be about ETs, but basically what the ETs want us to know is to focus on themselves, and those who will need contact or will be ready for contact
Correct.
will
And
have it,
we
will experience it.
Also, to add to that is that we are all the same in the end. Those who are more ahead or more aware, we're not much better than where you're at. If not, we actually, our perspective, commend and find the beauty in all your bravery in tackling all the things that you do. For not all of us on this side get to even go near the things you've gone there. We are in awe on our perspective. Where you might consider some of us ascended masters or this and that, but we're not better than you. We want to make sure you understand that. We are not better than you. You are not less than us, and you're not better than us either. We're all on a parallel path, but all just as integral to this fabric of being that we all are. We're all individual strands with parallel existences. But some might think we're better or further along. We might be further along, sure, but this doesn't mean your progress is any less than what we say had or will have. So that is a clear message also we would like to share, is that even when you do have disclosure to see us and we do give you advice, it is advice that we have learned or expressed in a different way we're hoping might help you on your progress. So maybe perhaps one day you will excel better than your master does. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I'm going to end with that. Thank you so much.